Hey everybody, welcome to the first of several Musescore tutorials. So over the next few weeks, we're going to be learning how to use notation software. You're here because you've selected the Musescore track of that. The optional finale track would be the other one. What our goal is by the time this tutorial sequence is done, we want you to be able to create any typical score that a performance or education major is going to need to be able to do. This includes things like single note melody lines, lead sheets for popular music that include chord symbols and chords. It could be a score for a string quartet, or it could be a choral piece that includes lyrics and multiple parts on the same staff. Over the course of the weeks, we will learn how to do all of these things. But this first week is just about getting familiar with the basic interface and entering notes. Let's go ahead and switch into Musescore and get started. All right, so now we're looking at the Musescore interface. What we see here is Home. Home is where you have these various buttons where you can learn through our tutorials. You can add plugins that we don't need right now, and you can create scores. Up here we also have tabs for scores. Once we activate our score, we're going to end up here automatically, and we have the ability to publish online, which we're not going to worry about at all in this class, but if you get really into the Musescore ecosystem, that's an option for you. Let's create our first score. Click the plus button, and we get our instruments interface. Here I have the various instrument families available to me and a search that lets me add instruments. We're going to be recreating diverse today in this tutorial. You'll get your own part by email shortly, but diverse is what we're going to use for the tutorial. That file is right above this video. Feel free to download it so that you can follow along on your own part. This is an alto saxophone piece, so we want the alto. Maybe you know that alto saxophone is a woodwind, so you can click that category and you'll see it's here. But let's pretend for a moment you didn't know that alto saxophone was a woodwind, or you were entering for an obscure instrument. Click in this search menu and type in the beginnings of the instrument you want, and we'll see that it's narrowing down the list. We got all sorts of crazy things in here like sackbut, which is an early predecessor to the trombone, and so on. All we want is the saxophone. So let's continue typing till we have it. I'm going to select it. That's not good enough. We don't actually have it on the score. This is the finder. This is the instruments added to your score. It's not there yet. Click the arrow to add it. We can add multiple instruments. Let's simulate that. I'm going to add a second instrument right now. Now I have two alto saxophones like you might find in a jazz big band. Well, I can do this as far down as I want. I can reorder them based on various templates or even create my own order. But we don't actually need two for this, so I'm going to click this guy, and I'm just going to hit the delete key to remove it. All right. Now, at this point in Musescore, you can hit done, and it will open up a file for you that'll have the saxophone loaded in, and I can basically type and create various edits to the scores I want. But there's a time saver if we already know things like the tempo, the key signature, the time signature, etc. So let's use that time-saving tool by clicking Next. Musescore 3 had a really clunky, ugly interface for this, but Musescore 4 has added a lot of improvements. These panels right here let me change all of those custom settings to things that are just going to save me a lot of time. Key signature. Let's take a look at our part again. I'm going to hold this back up to the camera. You'll see on this camera right at the top there, right about here, that there is no key signature. We have no sharps or flats. That can mean one of two things. In most classical music, that's going to mean we're in the key of C or A minor, which has no sharps or flats. In jazz, it's actually very common to write something called a keyless or open or atonal score. That's what this is. They didn't include a key signature. Musescore is able to support this with this open atonal button. Go ahead and click that. What this does is this doesn't put any form of key signature on the score, so we're going to match the part we have. Click the box or anywhere outside to close it. The time signature was 4/4, no need to touch this. The tempo was quarter note equals 260. So we're going to activate our tempo marking, edit the text to 260. If you wanted an unusual rhythm like a half note or a dotted note or whatever, you simply select it from the panel. Click the box to close it. 32 measures is plenty of measures for the purposes of this document. Notice it says no pickup. I could add more measures here, or I could activate this if there was a pickup bar just by clicking that checkbox. Title. This piece is called Diverse. It is by Charlie Parker, and we don't need subtitle, lyricist, or copyright right now. I'm going to hit done to create my score, and you notice it's already put my tempo marking, my non-existent key signature, my meter, my title, and my composer, in this particular case, the performer right here. I also have a subtitle, which I don't need, so I'm simply going to select it and hit delete. One of the things I love about Musescore, what you think you need to do something very often works. It's a big time saver. All right, let's get familiar with the interface. Musescore has all these palettes and controls here. This is for a future week. Let's simply disregard this area for today. This strip across the top, though, is going to be very important for us. First off, notice I have a write tool here. It's called step time entry. We'll see how this works in a minute. Then I have a series of rhythms here. These rhythms are in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're going to want to memorize these. It'll make it a lot faster. Notice that 1 is the, what is that? Is that a 64th? That's a 64th note. We're probably not going to need to enter any 64th notes very often, but that is the 1. If you didn't remember that, well, right below it, there's a little tooltip that popped up. Let me mouse away and mouse back and see that little pop-up. It's got a 1 in it. That tells us if we use the 1 key, it's going to activate this. 2, 3, 4, and so on. The ones we're going to need mostly today are going to be our eighth notes on 4, our quarter notes on 5, and very rarely, but occasionally, our 16th notes on 3. We also have augmentation dots. This is how you make dotted rhythms like dotted quarters, dotted eighths, dotted half notes. It's as simple as clicking the period key on your keyboard to add that dot. Then we have the rest key. This actually has a shortcut, but it's not labeled there. That's going to be the 0 key, and we'll come back to using that soon. Then we have double flats, flat, natural, sharp, and double sharp. These two guys on the outside don't have keyboard shortcuts. You'll just have to click them to activate them. But the flat is done with the minus key, which is right after your 0 key on your keyboard. The natural is the equals key right next to that. And then sharp is the plus key, which is on the equals key, but you access it by holding shift. So shift equals actually gives you a plus, which will activate sharps. Ties are done with the T key. Slurs are done with the S key. Should be logical. T for tie, S for slur. Then we have articulations, which we don't need today. We'll come back to that on a later date. And the tuplet key for creating triplets, which we will need, but I'm going to teach you a better way. All right, that's all we need to successfully do this tutorial. So let's do the tutorial. Click in the measure we want to start adding notes in. And let's take a look at our part again. Now, hopefully you've downloaded this file and can look at it, but we are right here. We have an eighth rest. That's a handwritten eighth rest, so it doesn't quite look like our fancy notated ones, but that's what it is. Followed by a quarter note high D, then a B flat, G, and D eighth notes, followed by an eighth rest, followed by another eighth note D. How are we going to create this? Well, to activate note entry in Musescore, you hit N for notes. Hopefully pretty memorable. If you're a previous Sibelius user, it's the same keystroke, so that makes it easy. Now, we need a rest. Funny that we're starting off with a rest, but that's where we're at. So let's go ahead and figure out how to do this. We need an eighth rest. So you may remember that eighth notes were the 4. If you didn't remember that, you can mouse up here and you'll see that the 4 appears on that little tip below it, or you can click this button. I don't like moving my mouse back and forth while entering notes. I feel like it slows me down. So I memorize the 4, and that's going to speed me up. So I'm going to hit the 4 for eighth notes. And then I mentioned earlier, and now we're going to get to practice it, that 0 is the key that enters rests. So I hit 0 and I enter an eighth rest. Now I need a D quarter note. So 5 for quarter notes. Again, you could mouse up there and check if you couldn't remember the number, but they go in order, so it's the 5th button. And I need a D. I'm going to hit the D on my keyboard, and Musescore is going to guess I probably want a note on the staff. That's logical because, I mean, the staff is there for a reason, but in this particular case, Charlie Parker played a high D, so I need one an octave higher. So I could have clicked this into the score by mousing up to the D, but I find anytime I have to use the mouse, it slows me down. So is there another way to move the notes? Of course there is. If you're on a PC, you're going to hit the Control key and then type the up arrow. We're going to actually hold the Control key while we type the up arrow. On Mac, it's Command up, and that displaces the note. It's that simple. I use that because it's much, much faster for me than clicking with the mouse where I want notes. Next, I have a bunch of eighth notes in a row. So I'm going to hit 4 to switch to the eighth note tool, and I'm going to hit the minus for flat. If you didn't remember that, again, you can mouse up here and you see the minus comes up in the tooltip. All right, and now I'm on eighth notes with my flat, so I type B for B flat. Now, if we look up here, we notice it turned the flat back off. We actually want that. The reason we want that is because most of the time, when we add an accidental, it's just for that note, and we don't want it to keep happening over and over again. So the default of Musescore is to turn off accidentals after you use them once. If I needed it again, I would simply hit the flat again. So my next few notes are going to be easy to enter, G and then D. Now I need an eighth rest. I'm already on eighths, so I hit 0 to enter my rest, and D to finish the measure. Nice and easy, right? Let's keep going. C. C is in the wrong octave because Musescore wants to put it closest to the previous note. So I'm on a Mac, I'm going to use Command up arrow. If you're on a PC, Control up arrow would put it in the right octave. E. Again, Musescore puts it in the wrong octave because it wants the closest version. So Command down, Control down if you're on PC. Then G. Now I want a sharp. That's Shift and the equals key, which is also the plus key. And then I type my F to get my sharp. I need a quarter rest. 5 for quarter notes. Why isn't that working? There we go. 5 for quarter notes. And the 0 key to enter that. 4 for eighth rests. 0 to enter that. And a D to finish the bar. Let's keep going for one more measure so I can teach you about ties. So we need eighth notes. E, B flat, pop it up the octave. A, G, C, A, B flat, E. E in the wrong octave, pop it down. But now I need a tie. So there's 2 ways to enter ties. Way number 1 is have the notes in place. So I need another E, so let's add the other E. Now I'm going to hit escape, and the reason is well, if you take a look at the second E, it's currently highlighted in blue. That's my active note. To create a tie, ties always go forward. So if I put a tie on that E, it would actually add a tie to the eighth rest after it. Musescore will actually even add a note trying to tie it to something else. That's not the behavior we want. So I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to click the E I want to tie from, and now hit my T key. So that's option 1. Let me show you the other way we could have done this. Let me delete my E, and I'm going to go ahead and go back to this E, note entry. I can hit T there, and it's going to add the note it thinks I want. The rhythm I had selected at the time was an eighth note, so when I typed the T, it went ahead and added an eighth note E to the note. That's what created it. Either of those techniques works just fine. Because we generally like speed, I usually just hit the T key with the correct rhythm selected of my next note, and it'll spiral out. I find that a lot faster. All right, for a while now, everything makes sense. All the rest of the stuff, all the way until the 4th line of music, can be entered exactly the same way. But when we get to that 4th line, right here, right where my finger is here, you'll see that there's an eighth note triplet at the very beginning of the bar. So the last skill we really need to learn how to do is triplets. I'm going to pick an arbitrary measure. Of course, you can go and follow along if you want and put them in the right spot. But for now, I'm just picking an arbitrary measure. And I'm going to hit my N key to enter notes. But how the heck do you put in tuplets? Well, tuplets are one of the more complicated things in music notation. The reason for this is because music notation is based on a grid. So everything lines up neatly with eighth notes, quarter notes, sixteenths. So divisions of 2s and 4s. Tuplets usually break that rule by trying to fit 3 notes or 5 notes or 7 notes into something. So we have to have a slightly more complicated method for entering this. If you use notation software other than Musescore, you're going to find that this can be very tricky, and every software does it differently. Finale has a way of doing it that's actually not unlike Musescore's. Dorico, which is my software of choice, has a really weird way of doing it. It's actually one of the things I don't like about the software. Musescore makes it pretty easy, but it requires a little bit of math. So we need 3 eighth note triplets. 3 eighth note triplets fill up the space of 1 beat in music. In 4/4 time, 1 beat is a quarter note. So what I need to do in Musescore is make sure my quarter note is selected. That's the 5 key. You'll see up in my tooltips, up in my toolbar, it's already selected. 5 key. And now remember this keyboard shortcut. If I'm on PC, it's Control. If I'm on Mac, it's Command. While holding that, you want to hit the number of how many notes you want to shove into whatever you've selected up here. So we want to put 3 eighth notes in the space of 1 beat. So I'm going to hit Command 3. And now I have rests that equal well, it's the correct rhythm, except it's in the rest version. Now it's as simple as adding eighth notes. So if you look up there, it's already anticipated I'm going to want eighth notes. If it didn't have that, I'd hit the 4 key to switch to eighths and type in D, E, G. And now I have my notes. So it's as simple as that. Later on in the piece, right here, where my finger's at here, you'll see there's some 16th note triplets in there. Let's go ahead and add that bar. Escape out. Let's just do this in the next measure. You can obviously go to the correct measure if you want. And again for notes, and it starts off with eighth notes. So let's enter those eighth notes. We've got D flat, C, A flat, pop it up the octave, G. And then now we need our 16th notes, our 3 16th note triplets that fit inside the space of an eighth note. So we have an eighth note selected already at our top of our toolbar. If we didn't remember to do that, we'll make sure to look up, and you can hit your 4 key or you can click it again. It's already selected, so we're in good shape. And now I need 3 16th notes in that space. So Control 3 or Command 3 to turn it into 16th note triplets. And then from here, it's as simple as typing in the notes. Tuplet tool turns itself off because it figures, well, you probably don't want to keep going on that. If you do, well, you just have to turn it on again. And at that point, we just need an eighth note E flat to finish that beat. All right, so at this point, you have the tools necessary to enter every single thing on the piece that's been sent to you. Some of you guys might get some particularly tricky things, 30-second note runs, elaborate chromaticism, all that kind of thing. Just be meticulous, take your time, enter things as accurately as possible. You'll submit your finished Musescore file as your project this week. Let me switch back to full screen mode. So hopefully everything makes sense. Hopefully this is relatively easy and straight ahead and logical for you. If not, as always, please send me a message through the Canvas inbox. We can talk by email, or I'm happy to meet you in the computer lab and show you more about how this works. All right, good luck with everything this week. I hope this makes sense, and we'll see you next week when we start to add more things to the notes and rhythms. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you later.